What is resilience and how does one become more resilient? How do we get through those hard and challenging times in life? Do you know how to deal when you get lost in the dark forest? Do you know how to find your way out? Now more than ever, we really need to build up those muscles of resilience to deal with all that is unfolding at this very accelerated, intense time on the planet. Does it feel like you are on the verge of a breakdown? It certainly seems like the planet is having a nervous breakdown. Would you like to know how to be more resilient, how to deal with your thoughts, your feelings, your moods in a much more resilient, resourceful way? If you do, this is definitely the show for you. I am Heaven Hope, and this is Conversations with Goddess. If this is your first time visiting our magical channel in this part of the universe, you may want to consider subscribing and joining the global family of light. If you find yourself drawn to these topics that we explore here, you know you're part of the global family of light. So just we bring you guests and information for your expansion, your elevation, your inspiration, your ascension. My guest today is Michealah Ivie. She is an Innate Well-Being Specialist, OptiMystic Educator, relationShift guide. God knows we can certainly use a guide in all these areas, and a linguistic mystic and wordgician. If you're interested in finding out what all of that means, make sure to pay attention and take some notes, because Michealah is going to drop some powerful, helpful words of magic, wisdom, and well-being. Welcome to the show, Michealah.
Thank you, Heaven. So grateful to be here.
So I thought what we would do is start with your backstory, because when I met you, it was at the Harmony Festival, and you were not in this line of work as an innate well-being specialist. How did you come on this path? What is your backstory?
Well, I've always been a seeker, and I ended up my undergrad. I studied psychology, and it just lit me up. And that led me to getting a double master's degree in marriage and family therapy and art therapy. And what happened was, in between my first and second year, my husband shared out of the blue that he had met someone else and was leaving me. And well, to say the least, that was really difficult. So I had gotten 1,700 hours under my belt with my supervisors. And quite honestly, nothing I learned in school was helping me to get out of my depressive thoughts. I was really broken. I was really lost. And I didn't feel as though from where I was coming from, I could help support and guide anyone into a feeling of happiness or well-being when I couldn't find it. So I, my wisdom came in a flash, which was that I needed to just put it down, stop getting hours, and go on a healing journey to come find myself again. So my background is definitely in psychology. Over time, I studied different modalities and theories. I even did a course with Layla Martin. It's a love, sex, relationship coaching course. And as much as I got a lot of information in it, it wasn't helping me. I wasn't supported by doing that somatic work where you have you're talking through your parts and things like that. What I came to find was that was informative. Like I was able to heal up until a certain point with those kind of models and theories that I was learning in textbooks. It would let off the steam, but it didn't actually turn the heat down. I wasn't really sure how to come back home into my heart and just really let go of victim mentality and find resilience. And so being a seeker, I studied for a year, got a lot of hours, a lot of practices. A lot of people started coming back to me, but it seemed like every week there was a new problem or issue to address. It never seemed like I was really helping people transform.
How did you help yourself transform through this very difficult passage?
How did I help myself transform?
Hmm?
Well, what helped me the most was I came across as a seeker, because I'm always researching and learning and growing. And I came across the three principles from the work of a man named Sydney Banks. And what I learned from these three principles allowed me to understand where my feelings were coming from, how thoughts work, how memories work, and really just understand the nature of reality and the building blocks for human psychology.
You are mentioning some very important areas that I would like to dive deeper into. How do thoughts work? What do you have to say about that? Let's start there.
So, thought is the most important but least recognized principle around life. Like, the power of thought is so huge because thought is our ability to see life. Without thought, when we're brain dead, nothing's going on. We don't have any instincts, we don't have any feelings. So thought is what allows us to experience life, to see life. So the three principles are mind, thought, and consciousness. So I just shared about thought and the power of thought. Mind is a spiritual space, and it's the energy behind all life. So it's hard to talk about mind because it's spiritual, but it's what gives us life. And consciousness is our senses, what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we're bringing in. So our senses, our consciousness is what brings our thoughts to life and makes them feel real. So whenever I'm working with someone, especially in the beginning, I know that I just need to re-educate people, and I have spiritual chats with people to remind them of something that they forgot or just remembered. So I always like to ask, where do your feelings come from? And so I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Evan, where do feelings come from?
I'm going to answer probably thoughts, right? From your thinking, even though I don't feel that way. And that is an interesting exploration, because oftentimes I will have a feeling come up and it seems like it just comes out of nowhere. And I wish that I had greater clarity about, oh, what was I thinking that suddenly led to me having these thoughts? But what oftentimes happens is I have no clue. I just notice, like, suddenly, oh, I'm feeling an anxious feeling in my body, or I'm feeling this type of feeling or that type of feeling without any clear understanding how it ultimately appeared. Like, where did it arise from? And I'd love for you to explain, where does that arise from?
That's a great question. So we are feeling our thinking in any given moment. Our feelings are a barometer to our thinking state and the quality of our thinking. So when we're having low quality thoughts, when we're in a negative thought, we are feeling a negative thought, and that doesn't feel good. Now, there's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So when you say, I don't know, when you're feeling or thinking, you're not sure where it's coming from. Well, 90% of your thinking is coming from your subconscious mind. And you have to understand, in a single day, there's between 70 to 90,000 thoughts we have per day. We are not aware of all the thoughts that we're thinking. They go by really fast. Now, it can look like thoughts are like a bubble machine. You've seen a bubble machine, you plug it in, pour the bubble juice in, and then bubbles start appearing. Well, that's how thoughts are. So thoughts are like bubbles. Some are small, some look really big, but eventually they pop. This is what I help people to do, is not get caught up in a thought that feels like a thought swamp, right? So to not get caught up in the shitty committee in your head that is in a negative headspace due to your mood being low and feeling reactionary and forgetting something. So
I'm going to jump in there and ask you, how do moods work?
yeah, I was just about to say that. So wonderful. So to understand moods, I'm just going to back up a little bit here to let you to really explain that we have the building blocks for our human psychology. We all have it. It is thought, feelings, moods, and mindset. And mindset is another way of saying belief structure. So mood is like the weather, right? It does come from thought. It all comes from thought first, but we're not always aware of what thought brought in the clouds. Okay. So when I work with people, what I understand is that innate well-being, happiness, wisdom, that's our default setting. That's who we are in our natural state. So like the blue sky, we are the blue sky. That's who we are. But sometimes clouds come in and storms come in, and those are the thoughts that make it difficult to access our deepest wisdom, to find solutions to a problem in any given moment. And if you don't know what you're doing and you're in your thoughts and your moods at a certain level, you're going to think it's real because moods are self-validating. So something to understand about mood, this is how you know whether you can trust your thinking or not, is when you're in a low mood, you tend to have negative thoughts. You tend to think that whatever problem or issue that's in front of you is just the tip of the iceberg of a much larger systemic issue going on in your life. There's this feeling of immediacy, like you need to solve it right then and there. You need to talk about it with that person. So all of these things, if you're aware that you're having that, is letting you know that your quality of thinking is low. It's like being drunk. What you're saying when you're drunk isn't what you really feel. It's what you're thinking when you're drunk. So when your mood drops below a certain consciousness, you go below the surface and you go into low quality thinking from a mood, it has a certain flavor and that you can notice to then be able to say, you know what? I'm not going to give that thought any more energy, right? I'm not going to feed that thought.
And there are times it seems as if that thought is relentless. It just keeps coming back and coming back, ruminating thoughts, right? Racing thoughts.
Yeah. We can definitely get on the a negative feedback loop, hamster wheel of negative thoughts. Now, thoughts are like candy. So if we eat too much candy, we get sick, right? So if we think too much and we're ruminating too much, it means that the speed of our thinking is going really fast and that we're probably asleep at the wheel. Now, this happens all the time because we are constantly forgetting that we are the thinkers, that we're thinking the thought. So it looks like thoughts create experiences, but what I've come to understand is that's not true. Thoughts create experiences. Experiences don't create thoughts. So it comes thought and then experience, even though you're having this experience and then you're having what you think is a thought response to the experience. But life doesn't work from the outside in, it works from the inside out. I teach people how to see life from the inside out so you don't have to become a victim of your own thoughts.
How do you teach people to do that, to see life from the inside out?
Well, I have an 8-week good feeling transformational course that I teach people over time through sharing metaphors, reminding people to notice when you're having a negative thought feeling or feeling contracted, you're feeling reactionary, to just ask yourself, just like you said, what was I just thinking? Or can I access that? But, to try to find the thought and try to fix the thought, you're already like lost the game, right? So what I teach people to do is to find resilience by just noticing that they're in a negative thought. And what I see is that positive thoughts are more real than negative thoughts. And how I notice that that's true is I just want to just check in with you right now, Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a negative thought, what is the felt sense experience that you're having when you're in a negative thought? What's going on for you?
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot. Okay. This is interesting because that's something I wanted to really unpack with you, which is I feel a lot of things in my body. It's very somatic. So that is sort of when there is this feeling that something is awry or off because there's a sensation of anxiety or tension or stress or distress. I feel it in my body, and I actually feel it in my chakras sometimes, like in the solar plexus, in the heart center, in the belly. Those three areas sort of light up and go, oh, uh-oh, I'm feeling this or feeling that. And it would be lovely for you to share with us how to address that and how to regulate it and actually help ourselves calm down.
We have two different brains. We have got a left brain and a right brain. Okay. So the left brain is analytical. It understands things by categorizing them. One would say the left brain is the racist side of our brain. It's the one that needs to put things in categories to understand it. It's actually the side of our brain that will make something up so that it understands it. And then we have the right side of the brain, and that's the mystical side. That's where great ideas come from. That's where solutions arrive. Now, the right brain is lightning fast. So when you talk about feeling your body somatically, that's the instinctual part of the right brain. It is so much faster than the left brain. So it feels like it's coming from the bottom up. It feels like you're getting a hit from the universe that something's wrong because your body's letting you know. Now, this is a gift that we've been given to notice, oh, wow, I'm really shut down right now. I'm feeling really triggered right now. That's the gift that lets us know. It's like the dash of our car when the flashing lights go off, beep, 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 that it's time to pull over, take your foot off the throttle and slow down and question everything right there.
Okay. So question everything, which is something that I do. I think it's important. So tell me, what is resilience?
Resilience is everything. It's our capacity to bounce back. It's like a rubber band. And when I say bounce back, I mean bounce back into our innate well-being, which is who we are, to our default setting of happiness, of wisdom, and of joy. That's who we really are. So resilience is our capacity to notice we've hit the rumble strips in our thoughts and our feelings, right? We're in a negative thought. And resilience is your capacity to notice that you've in a negative thought and not to necessarily believe or trust that. To trust that you don't need to feed that negative thought. And if you can use the divine gift called free will, which is your capacity to notice that your thoughts have dropped below the surface, and it's probably best that you stop ruminating in them and give yourself a space for a new thought to enter. So when we're ruminating in negative thinking, it doesn't leave room for that high quality wisdom to enter. So you have to notice it, and you have to direct your thinking. You direct your thinking by going to a good feeling. When you're in a negative thought, it doesn't feel authentic to find a positive thought because you're in a negative thought. So I tell people, don't go looking for a positive thought. Go for a good feeling. So direct your energy towards a good feeling again, whatever that is for you.
Tips on how to do that, because not everybody can. They're stuck in that dark forest. How do they get out?
Well, everybody has their own way to access a good feeling. Way I access it is visually. So I see myself pouring that cup of coffee in the morning, or taking a hike in nature, or maybe the beauty of a innocence of a child, whatever it is for you. Or maybe it's just, the smell of the ocean or being by the ocean. To go to a good feeling inside of yourself. Maybe it's a moment with an elder hugging you, just anything that you can remember or access that brings you into a good place. What you have to do is you have to have a healthy distraction. Some people might think that's a spiritual bypass. I need to really feel my feelings and be in that negative space and share that. Well, I don't feel that that is the most helpful for anyone, because if you share your hard feelings with someone else, most likely you're just going to create a space of insecurity where your negative thoughts are going to come across, and that person is going to actually experience that as well. So I say distract yourself. Now, that distraction can look like all kinds of things. For me, cleaning the house is a really great distraction. When I'm really upset and I'm feeling hurt and I'm not feeling heard or understood by my partner, I'll go clean some toilets and not think about it. As soon as I'm not like dwelling in that, a good idea or a thought, what happens is humility returns. You see your role in what happened. You hear what you can say to bring in an irresistible invitation for the other person. You're able to put your feet to the fire and, quite honestly, get over yourself. I invite people to go for a hike, do some art, play some music, anything to get yourself out of like overly thinking about the drama that's playing out in your head.
Tell me, what is an OptiMystic Educator?
Yeah, optimistic. So, like
But
I
isn't
said,
it a play on words also? You're using opti and mystic as in mystical because you are magicians.
yes. A mystic is someone who inspires you to return to the source of love, to slow down to the speed of love, and to connect with the universe. And someone who's optimistic is someone who is continually reminding you to only believe the positive thoughts and to question all the negative ones, and
Got
really
it.
educate people on what thoughts are worthy of focusing on or focusing on, and what thoughts are worth letting go. Because we have stinky thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Stinky.
these are like the emoji poop thoughts when we're just like, we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and we're super negative.
What is an innate well-being specialist?
An innate well-being specialist is someone who, it's a facilitator that points you to well-being and happiness, to points you home to psychological mental health, and gets you back into the lane of your thinking so you can enjoy life again.
Cool. I think the planet needs innate well-being specialists now more than ever. This is about resilience today. How does one become resilient? Now, we've talked about what resilience is, but how does one become resilient?
You have to have a love awareness. And I use the word love and awareness, where you're bringing your awareness up to the point where you can slow down and notice things and not get caught up in a drama triangle, which is victimhood, persecution, or rescuing, where you're noticing that you don't want to play that. So you got to find out to be in the game of life, just keeping your focus on your good feelings, because happiness is a feeling, not a thought. Joy is a feeling, not a thought. Peace is a feeling, not a thought. So resilience is finding the feelings to come home inside of yourself again, and not blame or shame the outside world for any of your emotional experience.
Love it. So is this where response agility comes in? Because I love the way you play with words. Share with us about what is response agility.
Being agile. So I like to describe it like a tree that's old versus a young tree, right? When a heavy wind comes into a solid tree that's really rigid, it can crack and break it. But if it's a young tree, like a child, when the wind comes, it just moves like this. So life happens, you know. I like to also talk about it in a metaphor like a snow globe. This is our natural state, in this state of peace, contentment, serenity. And then life happens, we get shaken up, experiences happen that are challenging, that bring hardships. And then as long as we don't get caught up in overthinking things, and we can step back a little bit and trust that there is a universal intelligence that's been guiding us, that will help us find the wisdom, we return home to that default setting of happiness, of joy, of peace and serenity.
Let's go to relationShift Tell us about that relationship guide.
So I think it's really important that we learn to compost our relationship and turn it into your fertile wiser. So we got to let go of what no longer serves us. So that's the relationship, is being in a new shift inside of yourself to take it to the next level, to be able to see your role in any given moment, to find humility, to be a team player, because intimacy takes teamwork. So I help couples, I help individuals take that shift from the relationship to the elevation ship, right? So we're going to the next level. We're elevating up and up and up so that we enjoy each other's company. Because any relationship, that's what the most you can get from it is like positivity, understanding, and enjoying each other's company. But when negative thoughts are there and resentments are there, all these misunderstandings, it makes it difficult for people to really see each other, to really hear each other, to really have a new fresh perspective, to be able to start over. And any relationship can have that if both people are willing to do the work.
Exactly. So tell me the offer for the people watching, which is an experience of you. She makes it so fun to work on one's issues and the tissues, right? And to compost their relationship. Like I said, make sure you pay attention to what she's saying, because I just love the way you make it fun and communicate with your word magic.
Thank you. Yes. I just show up as authentic as I can be, and I have a simple chat with people. There's nothing scary. Anyone can bring anything from the past, trauma. And what I do is I'll just give you a free experience of me to bring you back into a good feeling state. So it's an 8-week transformational course where the homework is really simple. It's has to do with something we talked about in the hour-long session that we've had, that you can notice what I'm sharing with you as a reality for yourself. So it's simple noticing of how the nature of reality works and how thoughts work. And really, people wake up quite fast. I mean, I've had the people come in and tell me they've been depressed their whole life, and within the first 3 sessions, they're feeling 20% better, 40% better, 60% better. Towards the 3rd session, they're like, is this going to stick? And it's sticking because it just keeps growing. Once you see the nature of reality and you really see how your human psychology works, then you're able to allow your mind to just come back home, just like your skin when you cut yourself. It just heals naturally. You don't really have to do much. Well, same with your psychology. You really don't have to do a lot other than just to allow it. And for me to be able to express how to do that, I mean, I have fun with my sessions. I really enjoy using a lot of humor, allow people to put on a new rainbow set of glasses so they can see life in a new perspective, right? From a new angle of vision. So yeah, it's just real fun and easy. And I think what I have to share just makes a lot of sense. It's made a lot of sense to me learning it, and then sharing it. It just makes sense to people. And I think when something makes sense, it gets activated in them, and that's how the transformation happens.
So tell me 2 things. What is the nature of reality that you're referring to? And number 2, where can people find you?
M plus C plus T equals R. Mind plus thought plus consciousness equals reality. These are the 3 principles shared by Sydney Banks, and you can find all that on YouTube. You can find me at partnership.us, and that's where you can book an appointment with me to have a free experience.
Yes, and her information will also be in the show notes. Michealah, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all this authentic information that is so helpful at this time when we can really use more resilience on the planet. So thank you again for joining us. So much love. Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, remember your 4 tips. Please share with us a great takeaway.
4 simple quips that will help you wake up to a low quality thought and get you back into a feeling of contentment and joy and happiness again. This is how you wake up, find resilience, and remember yourself again. So when you're having a low quality of thought, you want to say, shh, or stop that, or in a high pitched tone, really? Or Well, that's a thought. If you say these things to yourself, you're a lot less likely to believe the original thought. And now I would like to introduce my poem, Ode to Thought. So much doesn't matter. The fact that we're alive is proof we think. Feeling is your thinking, coming to life through every blink. Every breath you breathe is the missing link to access what is true, not get confused or hoodwinked. The path that leads you down a negative spiral of who you're not is a negative reaction, which is best just to drop, instead of believing in it's true when most definitely it's not. Mood is the barometer to higher quality of thoughts. Feelings are here to teach us when it's best to walk away. Notice the low mood when there's nothing nice to say. Go outside. Sing or dance or meditate. Find a sweet distraction as a way to dilate. When you find the warm, good feelings, that's the answer to the thought. It's the insight of the awareness that has you untied from the knots of feeling overwhelmed, shutting down, and feeling crossed. Insecurity and fear is just a sign you're lost. In the depth of your wisdom lives a gentle boss to teach you to create the space and connect all the dots, to get back in your lane and love with all you got, returning to the space of a positive feeling sought. For in life we can all find a way to have a better time enjoying life like children play, for innate well-being is the beauty way. Happiness is a feeling that ought not be delayed. The content of your thinking has the depth of healthy thought. A heartfelt curiosity is the ultimate jackpot. A quiet mind is a bright pathway to live in a deeper understanding of love to live the day. Thank you. Love to live the day.
Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this out. Make sure to ring my bell. I will close with a song that really activates my innate well-being, and hopefully it does for you too. For all time you are loved, even more than you can know. And with each passing day of life, we watch you as you've grown to be more full of wisdom, radiant and divine. Oh, dear soul, you're a masterpiece, a heavenly design. So may the goddess bless you and keep you all aglow. And we wish you loving kindness